Would you drive a car with a name that means the same as men's genitalia? But what makes a car truly awful? Is it the performance, or is it the appearance? We'll be looking at both those components to determine which cars are the worst. So get ready, because we're diving into a list of the 10 ugliest American cars made after 1950. And trust us, some of these are so bizarre and unsightly, you've probably never seen or even heard of them before. This is a journey through automotive design gone wrong that you won't want to miss. Ford Pinto, 1970. The first entry is the 1970 Ford Pinto, or to summarize it, a combustible genital in the form of a car.
So say hello to Pinto and goodbye to a lot of extra servicing.
The reason for that description is that the Pinto had a critical design flaw. Its fuel tank was positioned dangerously close to the rear bumper, making it prone to rupturing and rear-end collisions. This led to catastrophic fires. Ford was accused of knowing about the defect, but deciding it was cheaper to settle lawsuits than to fix the issue. This particular issue gave the Pinto a pretty bad rap, and you know how it goes. People tend to find more issues once something gains bad publicity. The naming choice wasn't too great either, since the car is basically named after a small horse. And then people pointed out that Pinto is slang for penis. Pretty sure you know what your friends would do if they ever found out what the car means. AMC Pacer, 1975. Ever wondered how your pet goldfish felt in its tiny fishbowl? Well, you didn't have to imagine that anymore, since the AMC Pacer lets you experience that feeling firsthand. Despite the bad design choice, the car was introduced in 1975 with the best of intentions. In order to improve visibility for both drivers and passengers, AMC decided that a large glass section was essential to their future-focused car design. They went overboard with it, though. Additionally, they decided that it should be a short but wide car.
Introducing a unique-looking automobile. It's called the Pacer, and it looks different on the outside because it's different on the inside.
Because they needed something more fuel-efficient, since there was a suspected fuel crisis on the horizon. In fact, it was slightly longer than a Ford Cortina, and as wide as a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. This made it appear like a short, fat glass dome, with its occupants on display. But it also gave it a high degree of stability. They should have focused a bit on the aesthetics if they didn't want the car to drown with the fish. Chrysler Imperial LeBaron, two-door hardtop, 1971. Next, we have the Imperial LeBaron. One of the funniest things written about this car is this snippet from Time magazine. It describes the car as a trashy pseudo-luxury harlot walking the streets for its pimp, the Chrysler Corporation. The 1971 Imperial LeBaron was an enormous car, stretching over 230 inches long. And some of you may say that size doesn't matter, but it's how you use it. But let's not discuss preferences. So, back to the hardtop. Its sheer size made it impractical for urban driving and parking. It honestly resembled a plane, which fits, since apparently that is what the design was going for. Chrysler adopted a fuselage design theme in the late 1960s and early 1970s, which emphasized rounded aircraft-inspired bodylines. On the Imperial, however, this styling led to an overly smooth and bloated look, which critics said made it resemble a land yacht rather than a sleek luxury car. Sure, the car did have some pretty advanced features for the time, like power windows and air conditioning, along with a sweet engine, but that wasn't enough to keep it off the list. Plymouth Prowler, 1997. At number 7, we have the Plymouth Prowler. Chrysler tried to bring back the essence of 1930s hot rods in a contemporary package with the Prowler. Its exaggerated retro-futuristic design, which included open front wheels, a long hood, and a short rear deck, was created by Chip Foose and the Chrysler design team. The Prowler's usability was severely constrained by its design, which many people thought looked gimmicky, like wearing a foam finger to a super fancy dinner, or using an IKEA hat for a red carpet event. Its tiny trunk could barely fit anything, and its convertible roof offered minimal insulation or security. The Prowler targeted a niche audience, hot rod enthusiasts who also wanted a factory-built modern car. Its narrow appeal meant it didn't resonate with a broader audience, leading to relatively low sales. Dodge Rampage, 1982. After the Prowler, we have the Dodge Rampage. As if the VW Rabbit clones and the Dodge Omni weren't bad enough, someone got the bright idea to copy the path followed by the Ford Ranchero. Gladly, though, the Rampage lived a very short life, from 1982 to 84. Ugliness, slowness, flimsiness, and front-wheel drive, which is universally considered useless for a pickup, sealed its fate as an ugly car forever. They should have called it the Dodge Wheelbarrow instead of the Dodge Rampage. It boasted a 2.2-liter OHV four-cylinder engine, but it's a pity Dodge didn't spend a little more time on the exterior. The headlights, grills, and bumper are reminiscent of a cheese grater, and the asymmetrical hood isn't doing it any favors. The rear end is very much ordinary, and certainly forgettable. Chevrolet Lumina APV, 1990. The next entry on this list is the Chevrolet Lumina APV. Now, this Chevrolet resembles a beautiful vacuum cleaner. Not kidding, the Lumina APV Transport silhouette suffered from an unfortunate resemblance to a very popular handheld vacuum cleaner sold by Black & Decker. And so, these machines became known as the Dustbuster minivans. The design's long, pointy nose and stubby rear made it look unbalanced and odd compared to more conventionally styled minivans. The interior of the Lumina APV was also heavily criticized for its cheap materials, uninspired design, and lack of refinement. The cabin was dominated by hard plastics, and the overall design did not exude the comfortable, family-friendly vibe that one would expect from a minivan. Its unusual design and numerous flaws made it stand out, for better or worse, in the competitive minivan market. The Lumina APV remains an example of how taking risks in design doesn't always lead to commercial success. Ford Edsel, 1958. So, we've looked at the wheelbarrow, so now let's look at the toaster on wheels that's trying too hard to be futuristic. If you look up the word Edsel in Webster's dictionary, you get the definition a product, project, etc. that fails to gain public acceptance, despite high expectations and costly promotional efforts. And yeah, the word originated because of the marketing failure that was the Ford Edsel. It's quite literally the definition of bad. The Edsel was Ford's most expensive mistake in history, which cost the company around $350 million in losses at the time. Many people thought the Edsel's styling was ugly and awkward, especially the contentious vertical horse collar grille. Instead of making a statement, it turned off customers. The grille was nicknamed an Oldsmobile sucking a lemon, and you don't have to look too hard to find out why. AMC Eagle, 1983. Starting the top three, we have the AMC Eagle. The 1983 AMC Eagle wagon is often considered ugly due to the awkward design, which makes it look like someone took an AMC sedan body and just bolted it on top of the chassis of a wagon. It has abnormally high ground clearance, which resulted in a really boxy and clunky look. Like a takeaway box, definitely not sleek at all. This was especially off when paired with the popular wood grain trim at the time. It lacked sleek lines of a typical wagon or the rugged charm of a dedicated SUV. The added off-road elements like fender flares didn't seamlessly blend with the rest of the car, adding to the clunky aesthetic. Chevrolet Vega, 1971. The next entry on the list, we have the Chevrolet Vega. You definitely have to do something wrong to be remembered as one of GM's most significant missteps in the compact car market. The Vega's body panels, made from thinner than usual steel to save weight and cost, were poorly treated for rust prevention. The panels look like a third-rate copy of a cutting board bought from that shady site your uncle probably showed you. Many Vegas showed rust spots within a year, with entire panels corroding prematurely, which, as you can guess, led to significant issues with regards to the life of the car and the maintenance costs. The Vega's engine also suffered from reliability issues, including overheating, excessive oil consumption, and outright failure. A poor sealing design between the engine block and the cylinder liners made the engine prone to warping. Despite selling well initially, the Vega became a cautionary tale of overpromising and under-delivering. AMC Gremlin, 1970. The AMC Gremlin deserves an honorable, or dishonorable, top spot on a list of awful American cars. Let's not even focus on the name just yet. The Gremlin's abrupt rear-end design, described as looking like someone chopped off the back of the car, was polarizing. It was created to be a budget-friendly compact car, but the styling didn't appeal to everyone. The Gremlin was meant to be a subcompact car, but it was made from mechanical bits intended for larger vehicles. It was like trying to build a go-kart with parts from a monster truck, or that 3-in-1 coffee packet that tries to replace a barista, which doesn't really do it any favors. Besides that, why would you name the car after mythical creatures said to be responsible for crashing airplanes and breaking machinery? Well, at least it's apt that the car was released on April Fool's Day. Did you disagree with an entry? Then hop on into the comments to tell us. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more interesting videos.